Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Damian Hill. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. Trash Talk is brought to you again by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Strings Tattoo out in New Brighton, Minnesota, Origin Wellness CBD out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Spartan Martial Arts, the Striking Institute, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, and TJ's mom. How you doing tonight, TJ?
Well, besides you leaving out the fighters, I'm doing pretty great.
I'll never leave out the fighters, man. It's tatted on my chest. So anyway, Trash Talk, we're here to discuss the effectiveness of Trash Talk, but an overlooked aspect of it, actually. People always hear about Trash Talk as being used to demean your opponent, get inside your opponent's head, what have you. And it's always usually referred to in direction to your opponent. Now, let's say TJ is not engaging in the trash talk with me, but I desperately want to get inside of his head before this fight. Well, I noticed that his coach is responding to everything I say. His best friend is responding to everything I say. Things like that, teammates. Then you start directly going to them. And I don't mean the sense of talking shit about them. Like, let's say, like, your coach, like, I'll beat your ass. Like, what? That's never gonna happen. We're not gonna fight. Yeah, get out of here. But like, start telling him about how I'm going to make your fighter look like a joke. Your fighter's not gonna do shit. Everyone's gonna know that you're a bad coach when I beat the shit out of your fighter. Now, that could translate into coach overworking the fighter before the fight, the coach telling you everything that I'm saying, which is my ultimate goal. You blocked me out on social media and have me nowhere in your head. You're refusing to even acknowledge any questions about me in your interviews because you don't want the reporters to say, he said this, what's your response? I don't care. I don't care what he said, and you're telling that to reporters, trying to block everything out of your head. But now the guy that is the closest to you is putting it all in your head for me. Now that's one thing. Like, how does the fighter react to that? Now everything is coming directly, and it's directly from a mixed in source, and mixed in source the worst way, because how easy it is to get emotional reaction from a teammate or from a coach more than the actual fighter sometimes. Like, I always feel more nervous and more intense. We both said it when we're cornering a guy or when we're watching 100%. Our teammates fight and when we're actually fighting, So now it's stirred up in the worst possible way. You have the head coach telling them everything that I'm saying, and it's getting inside of their head. And that's a tactic that I've tried to use before, and it leads into the fighter being, like what I said before, either overworked or mentally fucked with by the one that is closest to them. There's a reason why they're trying to block me out. You know what I mean? And like, I'm using us as the hypothetical sense and stuff. Now, let's say that was you and that was happening to you. How would you react to that? And how effective do you think it could be? Not necessarily just against you, but against anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a different take on it, because when you traditionally think about a fight and people talking trash, it's coming directly to you. It's you telling me I'm going to jack you up. And you get to a point, especially once you have a couple fights and you've been around the game long enough, where you can kind of tune that out. Obviously he's going to try to beat me. Obviously he's going to try to knock me out. So it becomes irrelevant. But like when you bring that aspect of now your family's hearing this. Now your teammates, your coaches are hearing this. So when you're in the gym, they're paying attention. They're saying, "Hey, you better do that extra round." And now that starts to mess with you, man. Am I not doing enough? Am I doing too much? I mean, you start to overthink things a little bit. I think when it comes from the blind side, and it comes from behind your wall, you have your wall set, and if it's coming from behind, so I think it's a different aspect. How I would react in that situation, God, I really don't even know. And luckily, I've never been put in the spot where someone directly was coming towards my coaches and it was relaying back to me. Obviously, we all know Jim. I don't think Jim cares too much if anybody's talking shit. So I guess it depends on your coach. But I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, like it's almost like, I mean, I'm not a hunter, but you use the buckshot, you spread it, you just talk as much as you can to so many people, and finally it's going to affect something. You know what I mean? And they're going to go ahead and it's going to start impacting them. And I feel like when it comes to trash talk, why not spread the love? I mean, there's 3 rules, in my opinion, when it comes to trash talk. Rule number 1 is, or I guess rules or stipulations. Rule number 1 is you got to mean it. You can't be, even if you're faking it or you're playing the gimmick like the Colby Covington. When he says things, he means them when he says it because it's part of the gimmick. Number 2, you have to be good at it. You got to be able to talk trash because when you're wasting it. And number 3 is just don't cross the line. The problem with the metaphorical line is that it moves. The line has never been in one spot. I mean, think about things that were said back in the day that started rivalries. I mean, flicking people off. Guy Mezger flicks off, or Tito Ortiz flicks off Ken Shamrock after beating Guy Mezger, and that's the biggest rivalry in the UFC. Yeah. And then now look and see what Conor and Khabib were doing. You know what I mean? So when you take 15 years, the line moves. So as long as you stay on this side of the line, you mean it, and you're good at it, talk that shit.
Can I add something to that?
Please.
Rules that you had said, because you had said you got to mean it or whatever, right? It's like because that's what separates the guys from like the Colby Covingtons or like Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal sometimes like it comes across as like, oh, he's talking trash about the division or about certain people or whatever, but like he's just speaking his mind. Like he means what he's saying. He's not saying anything that he believes to be unauthentic. It's what he actually believes. And then you have Colby Covington who's saying some outrageous stuff, and then you have guys like, I guess, Chael Sonnen, and like I'm not putting myself on Chael Sonnen's level, but like a lot of the things that I said, I didn't necessarily mean. I just thought it would be funny, and I knew the effect that it would have. Yeah, it was like when I would tell guys like I was gonna submit them, I had no intentions on submitting you at all, none. I think I have 1 win by submission, and then I was pissed at myself after it. Like I was like, why the fuck did I submit this? Like I should have punched him in his face some more. But anyway, just talking shit and just spewing it out in all directions, and as you put it, just spewing that shit out in all directions. Eventually, some people are gonna catch that, So I would post on Facebook all the time how I'm gonna smash my opponent's dick hole, how I'm gonna beat their ass. There was one time, and that all started that all grew to what it became. But it all started when I was getting ready to fight Nick Compton, and I had posted that I had broke my foot. He had. I don't think we were friends on Facebook, or we were blocked or whatever. I couldn't find anything really on him on Facebook until I got a message from the promoter, the commissioner, and Nick himself, all asking me if I had broke my foot, and they wanted to know if the fight was off. I had posted that, like nobody's responding to anything that I had said at all or whatever, right? Until I made that post, and I'm like, well, no, my foot isn't actually broken. I had only said that to get you guys to think that I wasn't gonna throw kicks, But the cat's out of the bag, and I had to They almost made me go get another X-ray to prove that my foot wasn't broken and all this shit. It was just like, okay, so now I knew where the line was on how far I could go or whatever. But anyway, that's another story. So that's another story. But after that, what I took from that is that people are talking about what I'm doing. And they're sharing it with each other. They're all teammates. I'm not friends with them. I'm friends with their teammates. I'm friends with former opponents. I'm friends with whoever. And former opponents have bonds that future opponents don't necessarily have. So I don't know such and such, but you fought such and such. I'm friends with such and such. So such and such sees what I says. So such and such is telling TJ O'Connor everything I'm saying about him on Facebook. And I'm finally understand the power of that now, So then it gets into just saying hey, I'm going to beat this dude's ass. I'm going to do this or whatever, right? There was once, because I think me and Marcus Morris, he blocked me on Facebook leading up to our fight. And I had said in it that I'm going to fuck him up. matchup is gonna look like the Tasmanian Devil versus Bugs Bunny, and I'm the Tasmanian Devil, and like I didn't really hear too much about it at all, really. You know, like some people liked it. I mean, you know, but it was said in an interview, and not too many people watched the interview, so you know, it didn't really matter. But then I remember at weigh-ins, we're squaring off. And he says, "So Bugs Bunny, huh, motherfucker?" I'm like, "Ha! You heard it." I literally said that at weigh-ins. You heard that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like it.
And I mean, and I don't think there could be a worse time. And this is just, not speaking on that scenario, but I don't think there's a worse time to show that truly affected you than right at the weigh-ins. I mean, that's the last chance you have to look someone in the face and to basically say you messed with my mental leading into this fight. It's not the time to do it. So I mean, it was a great play, and it was a delayed play. It was one of those fireworks you send up, and it kind of like doesn't do anything, and then it's just boom, boom, and it looks all pretty.
You never know, like which one is going to be the one that hits, or which one is going to be the one to, set the forest to flames. You know, but like you said, like flicking off Tito flicking off Shamrock. You know, like that's starting a huge beef.
Yeah.
And then you have Conor and Khabib, where Conor coming at the coaches, coming at everybody. So there was a huge thing going back and forth between them. But with that comes the opposite effect of, you know, maybe you're getting inside their head and a benefit to them, not necessarily to you. You know, maybe that ain't. I mean, some people say like anger is the wrong motivation. You know, I have a different philosophy on that. Like, I believe there is no wrong motivation. You know, whatever motivates you. I've said it before, where there's some guys that are motivated off of bitches, and there's some guys that are motivated off of glory. You know, now let's ask ourselves this question. Now, if we're fighting the guy who's motivated by bitches, and the guy who's motivated by glory, well, you can still achieve glory after a loss, you know. So he's still sitting here with his motivation, you know, right here with their motivations. So the guy who is doing it for the bitches knows that if he loses, he won't have sex ever again.
Never. No.
So who's out motivated who, you know? And that's just an example, and who's to say other factors that play into what and shit like that. But that's just to simplify it, you know. Who's to say what motivated who or whatever, right? So like his anger could have gave him a whole lot more motivation, you know, but there was still something else that I feel like I'm missing.
No, I mean, the prime example of what you were getting at there, I mean, you have to look back, it'd be George St. Pierre. Everybody always said that, and if you looked at the guys that actually talked trash to him, he beat the shit out of those guys. Usually, I mean, look what he did to Koscheck's face with jabs the second time they fought. Like, just purposely, like, tried to hurt guys, and he used that as motivation when Diaz was getting at him. I mean, that was a little bit more of a boring fight, but, you know, he obviously excels and brings it to the next level every time. And then there's people that where you get in their head, and you're in their head, and it just does not work for them. So I think everybody handles it different.
Conor, what I was saying is, like, Conor was throwing it back at all of his teammates. Like, maybe if he kept it all about Khabib and only Khabib, and maybe all of the teammates say a little bit less to Khabib in the training and stuff like that. Maybe, you know, I don't know, because I mean, Khabib usually blows it off of his shoulders when people are only talking crap about him. Maybe it's one of those things, he got more motivated because you're talking shit about all my teammates and all my family and my friends, you know? So yeah. But do you think that that's going to be something that actually more fighters start to take advantage of? Not necessarily what Conor did, but they're just the aspect of talking trash and just spewing it out there, because how many fighters have made a name for themselves, basically like, I'm a nobody, you're the big guy on the block, right? And I'm sitting at making my UFC debut, calling you out, called you out before the fight, called you out after the fight, and then I fight one more time, I called you out again. And by that time, you have a fight coming up, they're asking you about me in your interview. You're like, who's that? And then they keep bringing my name up to you, and then you start to look me up, and then you start responding to, like, that guy wants to fight me, he's a joke. And now all of a sudden I have a name now because somebody with the name mentioned it. And we see things play like that, like just spewing it out there. You know, that's the type of results that you could possibly get from just spewing it out there. But now when it comes into playing the mental warfare, do you think it's going to start being more directed towards the teams and the coaches? I think what I meant to say was not necessarily an increase, but from the people that are already trying to play the mental warfare game, an increase from them playing that aspect of it. That's what I meant, not just people as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With that one, I think specifically that will be more of a no. I think there might be a decline in that just because of how personal that Conor Habib situation got. I think a lot of people look at that and
No. I'm not talking about people's family and friends. I'm talking about how you're a bitch and just in the vicinity of your teammates to hear.
oh, okay.
Knowing that you're blocking me out, knowing that you don't want to hear shit I gotta say, but knowing that I can get you to know that I'm saying this about you because they're gonna go tell you, not talking shit about them. That's not.
Well, that scenario, 100%. I think we'll see 1,000% increase in that, especially during this quarantine, because I think you'll see more people are using social media so much more. Not like it's some new fashion, but I mean, I can make a post and be like, you know what, I'm gonna fuck Damian Hill up, and then in that post, I can tag Jim, I can tag 3 other your teammates, and then now it's on their wall potentially. They might see it and remove it, but you can spam it out there. I feel like getting it out there is so much more. So yeah, in that scenario, people, the guys that are already trying to do it, they're trying to talk some more shit for sure. Why not?
Boom. How long we been going?
About 20 minutes, 21 minutes.
Long.
Insert joke there.
Ha. This has been Trash Talk with Damien and TJ. Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damien and TJ on YouTube. Do not be a hoe.